Hey. Welcome. My name is Jim Wendler, author and creator of 531. I hope everyone had a great week. Christmas tree. I don't know why the hell the lights are doing that, so I apologize, but I don't know how to change that. So I hope it's not too distracting. So I will try to be fairly on time today. We got training at 11:30. So I need to be there obviously a little earlier than 11:30. So I will try to get through as much shit as possible. As always, ask there in the chat. I will do my best to answer it. I was just blasting Helmet. And I don't know if there's a better drummer for Helmet than John Stenier. Him and Henry Bogdan, the bass player, awesome. Paige Hamilton's great. I'm sure he directed all that focus of the band, which John Stenier's snare work is unbelievable. Plus, his cymbals keep on getting higher if you watch him play live. All right, I was just listening to a show from 1997. All right, here we go. And boom goes the dynamite. I've seen his name many times. Says, hey, Jim, a longtime fan and student of yours. All right, thank you. Started powerlifting in 2010. Shortly after I saw 531 on T Nation, started using the template. I had my hip replaced less than a year ago and started again 6 weeks after surgery. Good for you. I went from an invalid totaling just under 1,300 in a rogue online powerlifting challenge last week using 531 and listening to these podcasts. Heavyweight, hold on. And your teachings have helped me get back to being the father and husband I needed to be. Thank you, Jim. You've truly changed my life, which has helped my wife and children so much. That's awesome, man. I'm glad to have helped. And that, sometimes you feel like everything you say goes on deaf ears, and I'm generally trying to help people. I think I come across as that. So I'm very thankful that you sent that to me. It means the world. Like when I see the kids I work with, or I get messages like these, it makes me incredibly happy. And I'm glad because I had tons of people help me out, not just with the training stuff, but, other parts of my life. So I appreciate that. And message to everyone, if there's someone in your life that has done you solid, make sure you let them know. It doesn't have to be a heartfelt, a million pages or 10-minute diatribe. Just tell them. All right. It makes a lot of people, especially people that are kind of teachers, coaches, and stuff like that. Trust me, they don't hear enough of that shit. So, all right, here we go. The best boy says, hello, Jim, the best boy. Hello, Jim. Over the next 6 months or so, I intend to lose about 20 pounds of body fat. That's quite a bit. While still following the 531 approach to training, do you think the training max should stay put while eating at a caloric deficit, or do you think it's still possible for an intermediate lifter to make some strength gains during a weight loss phase? Thanks, and a Merry Christmas, thank you, to you and your family. All right, so best boy, this is what I would probably do. You're going to have a point in your training where it's going to feel really good, usually in the beginning, and things are going to be okay. You're going to have little hiccups here. And then what's probably going to happen is you're going to take a huge dump. And that's going to be expected. So here's a couple things I want you to know. All right. I'm trying to get these in order. There's no real order, I guess. Number one is always have an out with your main lift if you feel like crap and you obviously, you're losing weight. All right. So for example, one of the things we do at London is if I know the kids are tired or, I watch their first couple sets, what we'll do is we'll alter the main lift in such a way that they still get a lot of good sets and reps, but I'm not going to quote unquote test them or anything like that. So for example, one of the things that we would do, we did this a lot in the in season, was we would just do maybe 5 sets of 10 or 3 sets of 15 at their first set. All right. We wouldn't even do any of the top set. So I would find ways around it. Or for example, go up to your top set and just do the minimum reps, or just do a set of 3 and then maybe drop down to your first set and do, 2 sets of 10 or something. But find a way around it, because there's going to be times where everything feels like it's going to shit. And rather than just feeling all depressed, find a way around it so you do have some success. That's number one. Number two is one of the big mistakes people make when they're trying to lose weight or lose fat specifically is they say this. They were like, listen, I'm going to cut my calories. I'm going to run 9,000 miles a day, and I'm going to do 4,000 sets of volume every day. All right. That's how you just absolutely take a dump. All right. If you lower one thing, for example, calories, you're going to have to, if you lower your energy, you're going to have to lower some of your training. All right. I hope that makes sense. Too many people do high energy training and low caloric, or not giving themselves enough energy, and that's a recipe for disaster. All right. So like, I'll give you an example. One way you can lose weight is keep the calories the same, whatever they are, and up the activity. You chose to probably diet down a little bit with your calories. Okay. So you're going to have to make sure that your weight training and your conditioning and all that stuff is appropriate for the calories that you take in. That's how everyone, they lose a little bit of weight in the beginning and then everything goes to crap. Is it possible to make strength gains during a weight loss phase? It probably, if it's a long weight loss phase, yes. If it's a short term, probably no. So, but what happens is you need to get to a point where that weight loss is normalized, like your body, and it may take 6 months, and then you can start getting stronger. But just if your goal, listen, if your goal is to lose 20 pounds of fat, you have to make sure that is your goal. Not lose 20 pounds of fat and bench 500 pounds, because that's not going to work very well for you. All right. So keep the goal. Be okay with some crappy days as far as how much weight you handle, and just let your body get to a point where it's normalized in the weight loss, journey. And then your body will kind of reach homeostasis. I guess that's a good word to use. I don't know if is that word banned now? I don't know. Hell if I know. But and then you should be fine. So the only way that I can, if you want my honest opinion, that you can really successfully lose a ton of body fat and stay strong is one of two ways. One, you have someone who knows how to coach you through all that stuff, or you know how to adapt, which is very, very difficult, or you take some testosterone or something like that. And obviously that's not really what you want to do. At least I doubt you do. So, all right, here we go. Raiku says, hey, Jim, I'm going to start Triumvirate, which is laid down in the first book. I'm 2 week for 5 sets of 10 and 5 sets of 15 for the chins and dips. I guess I get maybe the first and second set of those. All right. Should I keep those sets and reps as my goal and do as many reps as I can? Or do you think I should shoot for a total amount of reps? I think you should shoot for a total amount of reps on most days, and then occasionally do 5 sets. I'll just give an example and see how many reps you can get per set. Like 5 sets, almost a failure, especially with the chin-ups and dips. All right. You're probably obviously going to have less total reps than what you probably will shoot for, but that's probably what I would do. I am a big fan of doing, especially with chin-ups, but you can do this with dips and other body weight exercises that you struggle with, doing, 20 sets of 1 or 2. If you can only do 3 reps, and doing that over a long period, throughout your entire training session. So, but listen, if you can do 2 sets of 10 and 2 sets of 15 on the chins and dips as it is, you're pretty strong. All right. I know you're not going to set any world records, but I got kids who can't do 10 pull-ups. So being able to do 10 pull-ups, man, and you could probably if you can do 2 sets of 10, you can probably do 1 set of 15 or 17. The other thing that you could do is do them supersetted and set your watch for, I don't know, a time period, 15 to 10 minutes or 20 minutes, and do as many reps of both. I think that would be awesome too. And there's a lot of ways you can get it, but the one thing I love to do is I would do whatever main lift, and then I would just do chin-ups and dips until my arms couldn't move. And however many reps that was, I don't know, but I would just get a giant pump. I'm not saying that's the only way to do it or the best way. I just love doing that. So, but yeah, good luck, man. You're well on your way. You can knock out those numbers, even in a couple sets. Okay, KRG. Thoughts on doing a month of heavy lifting and a month of high rep calisthenics. My cardio will stay steady, not training for anything special, just keeping in shape. All right. So I think if I was going to do something like this, I think with the lifting, I think you should probably do at least 2 months. One of those months would kind of be a base phase. And that doesn't mean you're doing a ton of reps. It just gets your body acclimated to the weight training and just getting your general physical preparedness for weight training up. And then the next 4 weeks, you start pushing some heavy weights. But I don't think it's enough to just do 1 month. I think you got to get your body acclimated and then kind of peak, even though I hate that term. I do think that a month of high rep calisthenics and stuff like that, I think that's fine. I think your body will adapt much easier to that. But yeah, listen, there's a million ways to listen. Like, there's always these crazy science guys, and I have nothing against that, but telling you what's optimal and stuff like that. The most optimal thing, KRG, space G, the most optimal thing is something that you're going to give effort towards, and it's something you want to do. So I will say this: if you want to follow that 1 month lifting, 1 month high rep calisthenics, if that's, man, you fucking love that shit, however you want to do it, do it. Just be smart. Just understand your body needs to acclimate to both. And the heavy lifting, you've got to be a little careful. So I do think you need to extend that out a little bit and have some fun. So, and there's nothing that says occasionally you can do barbell lifting and then your assistance is high rep calisthenics. I'm not saying that's the best way or the only way, again, but there's nothing says that you can't do that. So I think that'd be a nice marriage of things that people love to do. So there you go. I think it's like, if you keep the barbell training, if you keep the barbell stuff fast and strong, the assistance can go from bodybuilding to high rep calisthenics to just kettlebells, to sleds and ropes and, strongman, I guess, style stuff. It's not really exactly what that is, but you can just kind of, as long as the barbell stuff isn't tanking you all the time, I think that's a good way of kind of keeping things fresh. I think it'd be awesome one time to do, 1 or 2 cycles of, just do the main lifts. Everything's fast and strong and dialed in. And then going in, if you go to a commercial gym, just like, listen, I cannot do any assistance other than tons of machines and just go, totally fucking crazy on the machines. I think that would be fun to do. And the one constant is always fast, strong reps with the barbell. So there you go. Taylor Ham says, I think a chat message I posted disappeared last night. All right. So just so we're clear, and I don't know why this is, I don't know, maybe it's a setting I have turned on. When I post the thumbnail onto YouTube, if you post a question on there, and I don't know what the time is, but after, let's say you do it 2 days before this goes on, like on Friday, that stuff gets erased. I don't know if it's 24 hours, but I apologize. I don't know how to keep any of that stuff on there. And I obviously don't check all the time either. So just so you know, if you're going to post a message, you got to post it, I would assume, less than 24 hours, maybe 10 hours before this goes live. All right. Taylor Ham says, okay, I think a chat message I posted disappeared last night, but it was BS anyway. Okay. I seem to have lost my way a bit. I struggle to stick with anything and spinning my wheels, constantly adding in crap. Dude, everyone knows exactly where you're at. I add in extra stuff that I get lost on, which is I add extra stuff and then I get lost on what is truly important. With all this triumvirate talk on here of late, I think it will set me straight. I lift weekends, but can fit a third day in every so often. I love the more complicated programs, but I feel I need something more to the point and something I can go crazy with. Oh boy, I lost my spot. That will set me, something I can go, I apologize. With 3 movements per day with hard condition, I pray the gods of iron will forgive my lack of discipline and aggression as I seek redemption through the triumvirate and rent. All right, so listen, Taylor, what's your experience? Everyone here has experienced. I'm sure some people are going through it right now. The one thing that I did, I'm going to give you examples. When I started doing all the weight vest shit, what I did was I said, listen, I'm going to give myself 4 weeks. It was 1 month. I remember it was on a May 1st, and I didn't plan that. It just happened to do that. But I said, listen, I'm going to do this absolute balls out for 30 days. If I don't like it, if I don't want to do it again, I'll just go back to what I love, what I was originally doing. So Taylor, just give yourself 2 weeks or 3 weeks or a month or whatever, one cycle, and just say, listen, no matter what, this is what I'm doing. You can get through that. All right. Don't look into these, 12-week, 10-week, 6-month training, complicated programs. Just say, listen, I'm going to do this. This is non-negotiable. I would do the main lift, 2 assistance lifts. I cannot add anything else, but I will go totally fucking crazy on those 2 assistance lift. My barbell speed will be awesome. I will be aggressive. Just give yourself, I don't know, let's say you screw up after a week. Say, listen, I got 2 weeks. Just give yourself a little bit so you can survive that 2 weeks. You can. Don't say I'm going to do this for a year, because you need to set reasonable goals for how you've been and your, I don't know, the road. Whatever. Everyone knows what I'm talking about. I apologize. I should have had some brain candy or whatever. I don't know. I just made that up. I should take some Ritalin, huh? Man, I tried Ritalin. That stuff is crap. No, thank you. All right. So just, Taylor, give yourself a window. Say, give yourself 1 cycle, 3 weeks, 1 cycle. Do what you can. Be awesome. All right. You're in the same waters as everyone. As everyone else has been. I remember in high school, I would write a program. I couldn't wait to show it to Darren Llewellyn, who was the guy who taught me everything about training. And then a week later, I would show him another one that I wrote. However, listen, there is some kind of, at least for me, there was a little bit of a silver lining. The one thing, regardless of program I was doing, I was always squatting, I was always benching, I was always trap bar deadlifting, and I was always doing hang cleans. And then I was always running and jumping. So the big rocks were always in the training program. I think if you do that, you can mess around a little bit with the assistance work and stuff like that. But if you keep the big rocks in, so to speak, I think that's like one of those, the terms that self-help guy uses, but I think it works pretty well. Then you can kind of get around a lot of this stuff. All right. Just so you understand that. So, all right. All right. Tower asks, for a 3 times a week program, how would you recommend splitting 50 pull-up reps between rows and chins? How would you recommend splitting 50 pull-up reps between rows and chins? Both mine suck. I'm not sure exactly what you're asking. If your pull-ups suck, this is what I would do if I were you. We do this with the kids at London. Not saying their pull-ups suck, but some of them need help. We do 10-minute, on your own training warm-up kind of thing. And part of that training warm-up is doing pull-ups. So I would probably start by putting that as part of your training warm-up. And then, so let's say you get 15 total reps. So whatever, in that 10 minutes, I'm just making this up for you. And then you owe 35 sometime in the end of the workout. But I would try to get 50 pull-ups every single workout. So 3 times a week. I would do rows at least 1 time a week. You can do them twice a week, but I don't think it matters if you do pull-ups on, squat day or bench day. So just do it. I would do it as a warm-up, man. I don't know if that's exactly what you're asking though. So I apologize, Tower. If you need to ask me again, put another question there and I will see, I will answer to the best of my ability. Cray Dewsbury says, Merry Christmas to you and your family. I got 531 Forever for Christmas and can't wait to read it. Well, thank you very much, man. I appreciate it, Cray Dewsbury. I hope I pronounced your name correctly. So Merry Christmas to you too. James, my youngest son, loves Christmas because my wife and I absolutely spoil the shit out of him. Like when I was a kid, my parents were complete middle class, beyond belief. But they always found a way to spoil my sister and I at Christmas. So I always feel like it's fine. I'm not one of those people who, Christmas shouldn't be, you should only get 1 present for Christmas. Like he doesn't get a lot of shit during the year. So let him have some fun. There's nothing wrong with that. Okay. Hey, it's Matt Leniger, buddy. How you doing, Matt? I hope your son's doing well. All right, here we go. When new freshmen come into the program, how do you figure out their starting lifting number? Is it through 1RM, 3RM, or is this something you just eyeball? I just eyeball everything. These kids can't really do a 1RM or a 3RM or a 10RM or anything like that. So basically, Matt, just think about it like this. This is the best way. Imagine, because Matt trained with me at Westside Barbell. Imagine the kind of the bar speed you would want for kind of a Friday training session. All right. I'm not saying super explosive, but they can move the bar fairly well. All right. If they can get around 10 pretty good reps, or the first 5 look really solid that they can get 10, just whatever number that is, Matt, I make it their last set on the 3x3 week. So for example, the best way to do this is if, for example, they can do 155 and their 5th rep is nice and strong, they could get 10. That's 155. And well, how do I do this? Oh my God. I think it's you divide it by 0.7. All right. You just backward engineer it. The most important thing, Matt, is that you err on the side of too light. I cannot reiterate that enough. They have plenty of time to add weight to the bar. So when you're guessing, so to speak, I always guess like, listen, as long as they're able to get through the workout, it may not be the most challenging, but they have time to get challenging. And think about this, Matt, the best way for them to learn how to do the lift correctly and with that aggressiveness is with a weight that they can handle, that mentally they don't take off. As I'm sure you're like, oh shit, gonna have to pray to every God in the world that this comes up. So just understand that. Now you have to also understand, Matt, the kids, when I get most of the freshman kids we also have a junior high training program. So they already know how to do the lifts. But when we have a new kid that hasn't gone through that, if they just moved or whatever, just joined the team, I just have them kind of work up and I just watch. I teach them. They might not get a training max the first couple of weeks. They just need to learn how to do the exercises. From there, and then I just approximate the lift, and I always err on the side of too light. And then maybe after 2 or 3 cycles, it's way too light. You just up the training max a little bit more and they're going to be fine. But especially with new kids, do not overload them, because obviously you don't want them to get hurt, but you don't want to mentally fuck them up either. You want to give them success. Okay. So, all right. Brandon says, first question, I'm a bit strapped for cash. Would you recommend 531 Forever as the best bang for your buck? No, I would probably say the 2nd edition, especially if you don't understand all the ins and outs and just need something that you can read and kind of get all the information. 531 Forever is, you got to really understand the program, understand all the little things that go into it. I put that in the description of on my webpage and on Amazon. You have to really know all the ins and outs of the 531 program. So I would recommend 2nd edition. And then after that, oh my God, I don't remember. God, don't ever get old, guys. But yeah, the 2nd edition. I can't remember the other one. Holy cow. I'm embarrassed as hell right now. All right. You guys remember, it's the green book. There we go. All right. 2nd question. Do you or anyone in comments know a good brand in the UK for weight vests? All right. So this is a call to all the people out in the UK. I don't know any. So if you have any leads on a good brand of weight vest in the UK, let us know in the comments section or in the chat or in the comment section later. All right, 3rd question. Any tips on general physical preparedness for powerlifting and strongman, or just in general if your main goal is to get strong? So my tips would be, now remember, GPP is a broad term. So I would recommend some kind of conditioning. And we talked about this on the forum a little bit. For most people, a zone 2 would work very well, being the main source of conditioning. That'd be number 1. All right. Number 2 would be lots of mobility and stretching work. I don't say lots, I should say consistent stretching and mobility. DeFranco Agile 8. Again, that's part of your general physical preparedness. And then also doing some kind of hard conditioning at least once a week or once every 10 days. And that would be, for example, heavy sled drags, heavy prowler work, putting a weight vest on, which I know you don't have, climbing hills or sprinting hills if you're physically possible. Or you can do airdyne sprints or something like that, something kind of hard and gets your heart rate up. And the other thing is you can do this after you do your main lift. Is just, and when you improve one of the things we do to improve your general physical preparedness is some kind of circuits. We do these as part part of some kind of just general. You can do this on your off days, but what I would probably do is for maybe 3 weeks, do your assistance in a circuit, and maybe every 90 seconds you do a set. Keep a timer on that. As long as you're able to do it. If you feel like you're going to die, extend the rest periods. So those, 4 things? I don't know. Yeah, 4 things. That's what I would do to improve your general physical preparedness. Some kind of zone 2, easy conditioning, mobility and stretching, occasional hard conditioning, and circuit training, the assistance work, at least for 1 cycle. So those are some good ideas right there. The other thing is, I should probably mention this. This is 5 things is make sure you're eating appropriately, getting that body fat percentage down. You don't have to be shredded. You don't have to be 10% body fat. But if you're over, 20% body fat, get that down. That will very much improve your general physical preparedness too, being at a correct weight or correct body fat percentage. All right, Brandon says, apologies in advance. I'm going to be dropping a few questions for you and then bouncing because I'm about to head out with my wife and son for a walk. But I want to ask your opinion on some stuff. I don't see any of the questions, though. Oh, there they are. Ooh, all right. That's okay. Never mind. That question came in before all the others. All right. So I hope that helps, Brandon. All right, here we go. Alex says, I'm 1 week post-op for a pec tear repair. Should I train my good side or just evenly atrophy and wait to train both sides evenly when I'm able to? This has always been one of those things that they say that, if you train your good side, it'll translate. As long as you can train your good side and do so without getting hurt, I say you do it. So I don't know. I'm sure there's a million studies out there. Just don't do it and get hurt. That's the best way I say it. And the other thing I would probably do is find a way to train your lower body and abs. And obviously this might not be with weights. I guess you could do leg presses, leg extension, leg curls. Train the shit out of those, man. I'm a huge believer in that. Do not get out of shape. Your goal should be to be in better kind of training, ass kicking shape once you're able to bench again. Don't let that training time disappear. Okay. All right, here we go. Trolls Vincent says, I would like to know if I could only get one 5-through-1 book for Christmas. Which one should it be? I've read a bit on the basic from the web. I am a 40-year-old dad with a stressful job, so I can't recover as well as 10 or just 5 years ago. Again, I would probably recommend the second edition. So there's, I definitely would not recommend 5-through-1 forever. So that's what I would probably recommend. And listen, you're a 40-year-old dad. You got a stressful job. Just get in what you can. I don't think you don't have to train, 5 times a week for 2 hours, 3 to 4 times a week. If you can get like a solid 30 to 45 minutes, that doesn't include the warm up, but really good work, you're going to be fine. The one thing that I did this year, I did last year too, and I did really well this year so far in the off season, is when we started our training, I guess it was 2 weeks ago, I basically gave myself, listen, they could only do 1 main lift and 2 to 3 assistance lifts. We won't do any more. So I didn't overwhelm them early on because I know everyone wants to build a base. We just stuck with the basics. I didn't overdo it. And so now when we come into training, the kids are always fresh. So that should be in the back of your mind. If you feel good, obviously have a great day, but don't overwhelm yourself with too much volume and too much work and too much weight. All right. And so you're 40, Trolls, this is what else I would do. I would say, listen, when I'm 50 years old, my goal is to do X, Y, and Z. All right. Give yourself a 10-year kind of plan and just work each day to get a little bit closer to that plan. You don't have to hit that plan in 6 months. And that doesn't mean you don't have a 6 months goal, but look long-term. And that way you can be much more patient with your training. The more patient you are with the training, the better your recovery be. and the better you're going to feel. And I'm going to tell you right now, the stronger you will get. All right. Especially even in the short term. All right, here we go. Luke Barber, good friend Luke, says, thanks for the O-course rope recommendation. I suck at rope climbing, so do I. The last time I did a rope climb, my pecs cramped up so bad. He says, I suck at rope climbing, and I consciously or unconsciously avoided it. I just heard a quote, that which you want most is where you least want to find it. Yep. Ooh. Paul S. says, Merry Christmas. Nice tree. Thank you. In the second edition of 5 through 1, you speak about a story of a friend who would train full body and did this every time. You asked why. He said, why would I do anything else? What's the story behind this? Guy was stronger than shit. I remember this. I think this is I believe this is the story. He's one of those kids who could probably train, at that time, always bench press 455 or 475 and take him, 6 weeks to bench a smooth 500, and he probably weighed 270 and was an incredible athlete. So he's one of those guys, like, it did take me forever to bench press 500 pounds. He's the kind of guy who is genetically just gifted. Unbelievably gifted. So listen, if I am all at people looking to the stars or to the greats of training and seeing what they're doing, but understand that if you're not a genetically gifted person, your road is going to look much different. And I learned this from James Smith, the thinker. You see all these great power lifters, especially in a lot of the Russian training, and all they did was basically the main lifts. And I asked him about that, and he said, listen, if you're super genetically built, have that physical ability to be very strong in a certain lift or all 3 lifts, a lot of times you don't need to do anything other than the main lifts. If you're not genetically gifted, you're going to have to find your way around a lot of assistance and supplemental exercises. All right. So his thing was, he was just an absolute freak. So just understand that's a very important lesson. You see a lot of huge, strong guys, and I fell for this shit too. Like, hey, they only do X, Y, and Z. And, they squatted 900 pounds, so they must have an answer. The thing is, that guy was genetically gifted to do that lift. All right. So if you're just a kind of a, basic dude, and not genetically gifted, you're going to have to find a different road. Doesn't mean you can't get some inspiration, but you're going to have to be a little different than the studs of the sport, so to speak. All right. Jimmy Dean says, hey, a GPP question for a power lifter. Would it be more beneficial to push weight, volume, or distance on sled dragging variations during a long off season? 10 months. Thanks, man, and happy holidays. All right, Jimmy Dean, let me tell you, why can't you do all of it? All right. I am a big fan, and I do this still to this day. It's kind of lighter, long distance sled dragging or prowler pushing. I'm also a fan of doing shorter, super, super heavy prowler and sled stuff. I don't think there's any reason, unless you're going to get injured, to limit yourself. And I also think, I always do this when I do like a mile prowler push. I'm thinking, oh, this thing's awesome. I feel great. I should do this all the time. And then I go out and push a 400-pound sled for, X amount of yards, and I feel like absolute ass, but you feel great. And you think, I should do this all the time. You got to expand your world. All right. There's not just one way of doing things, even something as simple as sled and prowler. So you have a long off season. Just make sure that you account for the fatigue that happens with the sled dragging, because it can happen even with lighter stuff. So just be smart about that. But I love it. Absolutely huge fan of prowler and sleds. All right. Here review. Okay. Beyond 5 through 1. That's the second kind of book. All right. Thank you very much, Harold. I appreciate it. Nate C says, what's your recommendation for starting weight for a new weight vest training program? I always recommend, start with 10% of your body weight, around there. If it's overwhelming and you feel like absolute shit, lower it down. And so there's nothing wrong with using a lighter vest than everyone else. Just let your body acclimate. I always told this story to one of my athletes that I work with. He was asking me about the weight vest. And I remember the first weight vest walk I did right outside here. This was probably, 2008 or something like that. I remember somewhere in there. I had a 100-pound weight vest because, I was a super strong guy. 100 pounds, who gives a shit? That's just like a 95 and a 2.5 on each side. I remember walking, and then as everyone who's has worn a heavyweight vest knows, the trap started burning. I mean, burning. It was miserable. And I remember walking down, we have a long street that leads up to our house. It felt like it took forever. I'm trying to, pull up on the weight vest because my body wasn't acclimated to it. After a while, once your body adapts, it's fine. But I remember walking and I had my head down. It was miserable. Then I'd look up and it felt like that my house was never getting closer. So start 10% or around there. And then if you got to go down, man. Brandon Fink says, I second the 5-through-1 second edition. Plenty of templates to keep you busy. There you go. Listen, as long as you get the main idea of the training, especially the training max and understanding, not chasing weights, so to speak, and chasing good sets, you're going to be fine. All right, here we go. X says, hey, Jim, I know you've been through a lot with lower back issues. Yes, I've been dealing with low back pain for years trying to address it, but there is a lot of BS out there. How do you cut through all this crap? Listen, there's a lot of kind of crap out there, but a lot of it's only crap for you at this point. So you have to understand not everything's going to work for you. And it's always a matter of you trying stuff out, and it might be appropriate for you now. It may not be appropriate for you later. That's what I found out. So I don't really can tell you, how do I put this? So a lot of the BS that you see is just BS for you at this point. All right. It may not be crap for you later on. One thing is, if you do something, if you try something out and first of all, you're in a tremendous amount of pain, I just don't do it. I don't think that's going to help anything. I've tried. I've done this so many times that I'll just outwork the pain and it doesn't work. All right. So if it aggravates it, it's probably not going to help you. But if it feels like you can go through whatever the protocol is and you feel okay, just give yourself, a lot of this stuff will clear up much quicker than you think. It doesn't mean you're going to be close to 100%, but after maybe 5 to 7 days, you should feel something. And if it feels like it's getting better, stick with it. But just understand, man, it's a long road and just be patient. You're going to get through it as long as you're patient and consistent. The other thing I got to tell you is, unfortunately, like this is like a backdoor brag, but the problem I had with a lot of the rehab stuff is I'm always of the issue of the attitude. Like, listen, if something works, man, I'll fucking do it all day. I'll do it all day. I will do 5 sessions, every single day. I'll wake up early. I'll wake up in the middle of the night and do it. I've done that God knows how many times. And it's doing it more rehab is not necessarily going to make you better. It'll probably make you worse. So just understand that. All right. Like that. It's like me saying, I just work so hard. But the bottom line is that's one of the consequences of being an average white dude trying to play football. Is my answer to everything is I'll just do more than the other guy. So, and it doesn't work like that. Okay. Trolls Vincent says, thanks a lot for answering my question and giving solid advice on getting training time, even though I have a busy dad life. Yeah. Listen, your training, I know this is going to be horribly unpopular, but you got to be selfish with this shit. All right. You have to be selfish because I don't like when people tell me that they train for their kids. That's not a good reason to train. You may obviously want to be a better dad and healthy and all that stuff, but you got to be a little selfish and be like, I want this for me. All right. Because I see it. I remember this was like the psychology when people go through rehab, like, from heroin and all that, alcohol, you have a better chance of success if you're doing it for yourself and not doing it for someone else. All right. The most important thing, and people will say, well, that's selfish, man. Fuck you. You can give yourself 30 to 45 minutes a day, and it's not asking a lot from anyone that you get out of a work day and being a father, that you get 30 to 45 minutes of ass kicking stuff a day. That's not asking anything. I don't care what, bitchy wife tells you. Screw that. Fucking divorce her. Or I'm getting all upset. So it's not asking a lot of your family that you go out and have some time. AK, hey Jim, can you get strong and build muscle with 2 workouts per week? For example, week 1, Monday bench plus overhead press plus pull-ups, front squat. What? I don't understand what you're saying here. Week 1. Oh, Friday. Okay. I thought it said front squat. Can you get strong and build muscle with 2 workouts per week, for example? So this is what I would do if I were you. I would have 1 main lift per day. So you bench on Monday and you would squat on Friday. Okay. And then I would train the shit out of your assistants. So on the weeks that you squat, your assistants will be something pulling. Straight leg deadlifts, RDLs, or something like that. Good mornings. Okay. On the weeks that you deadlift, you will do some kind of heavy leg work. What that is, I don't know. You can do leg press. You can do front squats. You can do heavy dumbbell squats. You can do walking lunges for a quarter mile with the weight vest, something like that. Push the shit out of your assistants. Make sure your bar speed on the main lifts is good. But I would really, really push the assistants. I would also make sure that your is 1,000% on point. So can you get strong and build muscle? Yes, but you're going to have to push that stuff harder than you think. Okay. I hope that answers your question, but your training right there is not going to work, buddy. That's just not enough. Trolls, Vincent. Thank you, bud. I appreciate it. The internet has its good sides. Yeah. Okay. Hey, Jim, what do you think of TRT for older guys that actually need it? I think it's absolutely awesome. Is it really a magical drug, or are people expectations of it too high? All right. So here's the thing, guys. With everything that you read about, it's always better than the naysayers will ever say, and it's not as good as the people pumping it up beyond belief. It's always something in the middle. All right. So the people that say it, there's no point for a man to ever take testosterone. It's horrible, blah, blah, blah. They're lying. People that say it's an absolute miracle, unless there's something really major going on in their life, and this does it. It is a very good thing for a lot of people, but it's not going to make you win the lottery, and you're not going to be at like 4% body fat and, Mr. Olympia. All right. So I think people have a very extreme view, negative and positive, of this stuff. What do I think of it, man? I think life is too short to feel like crap. All right. That doesn't mean you do shit that's, you start shooting heroin because it makes you feel good. But done correctly, all right, I think it's an awesome thing. One of the things, I was trying to get my old man to take tests, and he won't do it. But you see it with older people all the time. One of the first things that goes is muscle mass. And I think I'll give you an example. One of the bad things about getting older is your joints start hurting, and you can't do the same amount of crazy volume that you used to do training wise. You just don't usually have the time. Your body can't handle it. So from that point, I think it's awesome. It gives you a little bit of an edge. You don't have to spend 80 hours in the weight room like you did when you were 18, because you can't do it. You'd be an invalid. So the one thing I'm going to tell you is all the naysayers, all the people that, if you don't do it natural, man, fuck them. Who gives a shit? Life, listen, I got, I'm almost 50 years old. I got, if I'm lucky, 25 more years. I'll be damned if I'm going to be a miserable bastard and feel like crap. It's not worth it. It's not worth it to me. So again, it's not going to turn you into Mr. Olympia like a lot of people think. So do what you will, man. The worst thing you could do is let some doucheroni, whether it's someone that you know or someone on the internet, convince you that you have to do it natural and all that other crap. So, all right, go for it, buddy, if you want to. Heavyweight, you don't have to do that, buddy. I say that every week, but thank you very much, man. I appreciate it. I'll buy Dude, I saw how much cigarettes cost. I don't pay attention to that. Oh my God, new cigarettes. I was going to say I was going to buy a carton of smokes, but that'll cover about a pack. Holy cow. I'm joking. I don't smoke. Rat says, Merry Christmas. Merry early Christmas. Well, thank you very much. Can I do front squats as an assistance movement? If it's not a good idea, what are some alternatives? So just so we're clear, we usually classify the main lift, the supplemental lift, which is usually some kind of alternate barbell movement. And then assistance is, dumbbell work, chin-ups, push-ups, machine shit. So I know this is just a matter of semantics, but I do think front squats is a terrific supplemental movement. If you can do them and you like to do them, I say let it rip, man. Yes, it is a good idea as long as you can do it and you want to do it. So yes. Tower says, I apologize. Okay, so Tower asked about the 0 to 50 total reps for pull and assistance exercises. How would you split that 50 between rows and chins? I guess it would depend on how many chins you do, if I'm going to be completely honest. But I would probably do, let's say you can do, 4 or 5 chin-ups. I would probably go for 25 total reps of chin-ups. And then, 3 sets or 2 sets of 10 or 3 sets of 10 somewhere of the rows, as long as the rows were done strictly and you're kicking ass somewhere in there. Remember, it doesn't have to be exactly 50. I tell the kids that can do pull-ups, you should be getting at least 50 pull-ups every single training day. And then we also do rows in there. So if you're more than welcome to up the volume, if you feel like you can, if your chin-ups are really good, but I would probably say if you really suck at chins, err on a little less volume on the chin-ups and a little more volume on the rows. So for example, if you can only do 1 chin-up, let's say you get 10 to 15 total chin-ups and then make up the rest with rows. Okay. So I hope that makes sense, Tower. I remember you said you were not good at both. So err on less chins, more rows. And make sure you change your grip, man. Do some underhand, do a lot of parallel grip, stuff like that, medium, wide, stuff like that. So vary your grips. You will get better for it. Seth Angel says, for zone 2 work, do you think someone who divides it up into 3 or 4 10-minute sessions will reap the same benefits as someone who does one 30 to 40-minute session? All right, Seth, I have no idea. I know what's his Seth. Oh my God, dude. I think I'm going bananas. Come on, guys. The vertical diet guy. Oh my God. I know he recommends, boy, I'm totally shitting on myself. Oh my God. All right, whatever. I know he recommends 10-minute walks after every meal, but I honestly don't know. I like doing, if I'm going to be completely honest, I like doing the at least 45 minutes to more of the zone 2 work a lot. I do it a lot. I like doing it. I kind of zone out, and I think it's awesome for my brain. So I don't know, man. Seth, I don't know the answer to that, man. I apologize. I don't know what your markers are for either. So I would think, just for general whatever digestion, doing 3 or 4 10-minute sessions is probably pretty good. I think if my goals were specific to conditioning, like I was trying to be a prowler stud or, all that other stuff, I would probably do longer sessions, but I just wouldn't do one, one a week. I would have to spread it out. That's just me. So if my goals are more hypertrophy maybe, and just kind of not athletic, so to speak, I would probably divide it up. If my things were more athletic, I would probably do a 30 or 40-minute session. Yep, Seth Efferdine. All right, stand up. Oh my God, dude. Seth, I apologize. It's Stan Efferdine. You were right there, so I should have just looked. Mike Stouffer says, hey, Jim, when is your book on high school training coming out? I don't know. Listen, I'll give you an example, Mike. If I wrote that book, holy shit, I got to get moving. If I wrote that book 2 years ago, I would read it now and I'd be like, dude, that's not right. It would be okay, but you start to learn more and more and more. And just in the last couple of years, I think I've gotten to be a much better coach. So it's a little hard. And I'm going to tell you this, Mike, too. There's nothing. I can write down everything that we do and stuff like that. But there's the real important thing is when you train athletes, you have to always be ready to regulate the stuff and change stuff. I would never tell someone all the time, just whatever the workout says, just do it. And so you have to understand that too. And I get hung up on that stuff because I hate to give this, a book or a training system to a young coach and say, this is what we do. When the reality is a lot of things change during the training. And I think it's important that people understand how to do that. That's the biggest thing that holds me back. I'll be completely honest. I just don't know how to explain that stuff. All right. What are my thoughts on incorporating specialty bars? I was thinking about thinking barbell for main work and Swiss bar, trap bar, and safety squat bar for supplemental lifts. Listen, I think that's a good idea. I also think maybe after a cycle of that, switch over to those, if you want, the specialty bars for your main work, man, and have some fun. I think it'll be a good idea to maybe do them for supplemental so you can kind of get used to everything, kind of get a feel where you are. And then as long as you're not doing anything specific, powerlifting specific, man, let it run. I'm a huge fan of the safety squat bar, trap bar, Swiss bar, all that stuff. So I think it's a good idea. Nate says, hey, Jim, thanks for the weight vest advice. Was a power lifter for a long time, but with a second kid in the way, my focus is more on losing some body fat and being healthy for my kids. Nate, I assume you're, over 30. So I would make sure you get your diet. It doesn't have to be perfect, but just get the big stuff the big bad stuff out of your diet. It will make a huge difference. All right. Especially if you're not able to train like a madman. So remember that. All right. Jim, thanks for the thoughts on back rehab. Frustrating journey, but I'll get there. I understand. Just for fun, the best book you read this year. Oh, man. I'm trying to think. I don't know. Let me think about that one for a while. I reread a lot of books too. As you guys have seen, I forget a lot of stuff. So it's one of the best things about getting older. I watch a movie. I'm like, hell yeah. We just watched 10 Cloverfield Lane, and I totally forgot how it ended. And I was so excited. Woo. I don't know, man. I'll just say, Christ, I can't even remember the name of the book. It's the one that the Reaper, the Army Ranger sniper, I thought that was okay. I don't read anything very academic, I'll be honest with you. That stuff is overwhelming. I'm not smart enough to do that stuff. Okay, Heavyweight says, hey, brother, you keep these live streams coming. I'll do what I can to keep the internet bill down. Oh, my God. I wish I had some good questions, but at this point, training is going absolutely great. That's an awesome sign, Heavyweight. I appreciate you. Okay, Merry Christmas, Jim. What's your favorite template from Forever for firefighters who want to keep conditioning with running consistent? I would probably alternate. The one thing I think, keep the barbells fairly light, but I think Cryptea, if you can pull it off, and for the supplemental stuff, never do sets of 10, just do sets of 5. I think if you can get that dialed down, it's absolutely amazing. Absolutely amazing. Huge fan. I wish I could train like that with a lot of the kids I work with, but there's too many kids. It just becomes a big cluster. We don't have enough room. I need more coaches to get it, but I'm a huge fan of that. So I would look at the Cryptea program. You don't have to do it more than maybe two or 3 cycles. And again, do not do sets of 10. Just do sets of 5 for the supplemental work, the FSL work, and keep the assistance awesome. Bar speed should be fast and crisp. And the assistance, body build the hell out of it, but keep those rest times. All right. All right. LCF, thank you very much. Merry Christmas, he writes. I appreciate that. Again, you guys don't have to do that, but thank you very much. Okay. Did some dumb stuff after my PR set on deadlifts last week. Put about 85% of my old max on the bar and smoked the hell out of it. Didn't even feel the weight at all. A testimony. of how well using the 70% training max works. Understand, guys, heavyweight is a long-time lifter. He's incredibly explosive. He's very strong. You don't have to use that light of a training max, but just remember, good reps add up over a long period of time. So, okay, I got to start going here. All right. Hey, Jim, I wrote in a couple of weeks ago about the success I've had with a 72% training max, maintaining a lot of good momentum with a lot of extra life stress. Let's see. It gets all right. Right now, my main lifts are squat, bench, trap bar, hitting PR sets mostly, but adjusting based on how I feel. I've noticed you do something similar on the London blog. You are correct. We do it all the time. So today we got trap bar and the prowler. All of our sets today on the trap bar are going to be super crisp and fast, nothing crazy. And I have a feeling that when we let this roll a little bit for a couple months, I think we're going to have some good couple months, 6 weeks, I should say, or 2 months. We're going to be in a really good spot. So, okay. Duncan says, hey, Jim, my military press has been stuck at 183 since a very long time. I'd love to get it to 225. What would be your approach to get it closer to that long-term goal? All right. So whatever your training max is, make sure you can get around, let's say 8 to 9 reps on your 3x3 week, maybe 10 reps. All right. So get that down there. Do your first set of each week, the second set. And on that final set, give yourself 20 minutes to do try to get 50 total reps in at that top set. Just bomb the hell out of it. Do sets of 3, 5, 6. I wouldn't probably do sets of 10 because that will kind of smoke you. But concentrate on fast, strong reps and let that volume build. The other thing is make sure you're doing a lot of upper back work and a lot of abdominal work. And make sure when you do your reps, don't just push. Learn how to push explosively on every single rep. You got to learn how to be aggressive out of the bottom of the military press. Make sure obviously your upper back lats, but make sure you're training your arms too, besides triceps, biceps, forearms. If you can do some rope chins and stuff like that, I think that's super awesome. That helps you when you take the bar off. You feel incredibly strong and competent when it starts getting heavy. But again, every rep should be done with precision and a tremendous amount of aggression. Don't just do your reps. Do them with purpose. So that's what I would do. I hope that helps. I think it helps a lot of people. It helped me and it helped a lot of people I've worked with and people on the forum. Okay, Mike says, Jim, I have a room of 25 kids, boys and girls. We do upper/lower. The boys always camp on the main lift. The girls race through the entire workout. What's the best way to manage this? This is how I got around that, Mike. Every single set of the main lifts is on a timer, and they're done on my watch. It keeps the workouts paced correctly. We used to have guys guys who bench press 150 pounds, it would take them 45 minutes to get through their 5-3-1 bench sets. I am not lying. So I was getting so frustrated with it because they would do no assistance. They would just farting around. So what I did was I let the kids warm up on their own. Every single set is done on a timer. So I say, go. They got 3 guys and I tell them what we're doing. We're doing, 5 reps on this set. Go. Everyone in the rack does 5 sets at the appropriate weight. They wait again for the next set. So everything is usually done on every 2 minutes or something like that. We do that with the squat, bench, and trap bar. That's the best way to do it. It took a long time to get the kids accustomed to it. It's going to be frustrating. Be patient. But when I first introduced it, we had to shorten a lot of our the amount of work that we did during the train session because it took so long for some of these kids to understand it, to get the weight changes correctly and stuff like that. But it was worth it. Our training has gotten infinitely better and more efficient since we started doing that. I used to just say, this is what we're doing. Here's your workout. And then they finish it. It was a waste of my time, waste of the kids' times. So that's what I would do. Rugby says 5 sets of 5 FSL PR sets, 5 sets of 5 at the top set. Is there a gold standard? What do you do when the kids look and feel their best? There's not a gold standard at all. I guess if it's either PR sets, if they can handle it, or work up to the training max for a single or double and then go down and do a PR set. So I guess that's probably the gold standard, but we treat the bench much differently than we treat the squat and the deadlift. So all those lifts are a little bit different. So I would probably say PR sets and then maybe a training max test or a training max for 1 to 2 reps of absolute, total speed and power. All right, Ragnar. What's up, Chief? Just checked in to tell you that I found out what to do with my tendon benching with the neutral grip. That's awesome, man. I appreciate it. Okay, Caleb, my good friend Caleb Solers. All right, we're going to have to get through this here. Hey, Coach, I have been experiencing tight hips, especially on my deadlift days. Any recommendations for opening up the hips? All right, Caleb, do you remember when we used to do hurdle duck unders and all that stuff? Maybe you didn't do them, but a lot of the linemen did. That's one of the things. Now, you obviously don't have access to a hurdle. I guess you can go over to the school, but I know that's probably a trip. So what you do is you set up a power rack, the safety pins, and do duck unders. And it doesn't have to be super low. And then do some hip mobility stepping over. So that's number one. Number two is doing some kind of, I'd have to show you this, some mobility hip flexor stuff. And one of the best things I like is doing, do you remember when we used to do the steep mountain climbers where your legs are, boop, boop? So it doesn't have to be done as conditioning, but doing kind of explosive dynamic mobility like that, and doing that or something like that, even a hip flexor stretch 3 times a day. The other thing you could do, Caleb, if I'm totally confusing you right now, listen, do the DeFranco Agile 8 3 times a day. Do it for 3 times a day for 7 days and see how you feel. All right. All you need is your body weight, a foam roller, and I think a lacrosse ball or a baseball would work too. So there we go. I've changed everything, Caleb. Agile 8 3 times a day. When you wake up at work, you're probably going to look like a total retard, but who gives a shit? And then before you go to bed at night, it doesn't have to be super intense. It'll probably take you 10 to 12 minutes. Huge fan of that. I think that helps tremendously. All right, here we go. Last question here. KAD says, is it okay to use boring but big for bench and overhead press and 5 sets of 5, whatever, squats? Okay. Yes. All right, so CAD's saying, listen, I'm going to use boring but big for my bench and overhead press, and my squat and deadlift are going to be different. Without a doubt, dude, you have to find the different things that work for each lift and understand, too, I've seen this. I'm sure everyone knows this. Like if you do boring but big from the squat, it's going to really screw up your bench sometimes, right? Especially, or your deadlift's going to screw up your overhead press because of the back fatigue. Without a doubt, guys. The one thing I will say is not every lift should be pushed hard all the time. Once you get to a certain point, you're going to understand that you can maybe put a little more effort in the bench and squat, but the deadlift, you'd love for it to go up. But listen, when you're really training the shit out of your legs, your deadlift is going to feel like crap. So just understand that not every lift has to be pushed to the maximum all the time in every training session. Just understand that. So I would probably do, if I was doing boring but big for the bench and overhead press, I would do one medium. The squat, for example, would be medium and the deads would be kind of lighter or less volume, or vice versa, if I was really pushing the bench and the overhead press. I hope that makes sense to you, man, but you are on the right track. You are definitely on the right track. So, okay, listen, guys, I got training to go to. What can I say? I'm a needed man. I appreciate you. But thank you, everyone. Have a great Christmas. Enjoy the time, guys. Spend it with your family. Do not be rushed. Do not be stressed. So I know that's hard. It's easier for me to say, but that's the one thing my wife and I do. Christmas Day is for our family. I don't go anywhere. I don't do anything. I know that not everyone has that thing, but I make it about my family. We shut down our phones. We just have a good time hanging out with each other. And so just understand that your togetherness and your family and the love and all that stuff, that's what's most important. All right. If it, whatever you do, don't stress yourself out. Just listen, say no if it's going to shit on your family. All right. That's the best thing I'll say. Might be too late to do it now, but just understand that. I always do what's best interest for my family and my my wife and my kid and stuff like that. So sometime I'll tell you a story about my wife sticking up for me. This was early on in a relationship, and it was absolutely awesome. It came down to someone was trying to manipulate her to do shit with me. And she says, do you think I'm not on my husband's team. I refuse. It was one of the, when she told me the story, I was like, man, I fucking love you to death, babe. All right. Have a great day, guys. Love you. Appreciate you. You have no idea. I love doing these things. So thank you. Have a great Christmas. Bye-bye.